Hello, everybody, and welcome to the free webinar for the Wildfire Resilience Training. My name is Matthew Trumm, and I'm excited to share this specially curated training that I've been working on here with our members of the ecosystem restoration communities. Great team. Got Ashley here today, Kath in the background, some other team players and collaborators, and one of our ERC um, camps, communities out there. And we're going to be excited to share, why we're, putting this together for you guys. So, I am in Butte County. It's in California, northern east of Sacramento. And, we have had a lot of wildfires here in the last 10 years. And like many parts of the earth, we started to see these small phenomena happen, and then they grew exponentially in the amount, the severity of the fires. And in 2018, we had the Camp Fire, which destroyed the town of Paradise, most people know about. And, I've been doing work in permaculture for a long time. I'm an educator, consultant, and designer here locally. And, you know, with that knowledge, I couldn't help but to want to help after the fires, and get out there and start to support this community around me. I'm about 30 minutes from Paradise, and it was a personal thing to me because my daughter was living there at the time with her mother, and they experienced the fire and lost their home. And so, a lot of immediate response work after the fire, dealing with post-fire runoff and things like that. And that started my journey into now it's been 7 years that I've been fully immersed in post wildfire recovery, worked with lots of other community members in different fires in the area. And then in 2020, actually got an even closer, intimate relationship with fire as I lost a home, a family home of mine, and 12 acres of beautiful forest up in Berry Creek, California, which is just another 30 minutes up in the hill. And that was a 350,000 acre fire, and had to learn what it's like on a, survivor level of recovery, post-fire cleanup, all this kind of stuff. And in my journey and going through other communities, learning from other people, I met some amazing folks doing this work. And I didn't really see a lot of, courses out there about this new phenomenon of megafires, or even, looking at wildfire and wildfire ecosystems in a holistic way. And so that was the inspiration for this course. And I've been contemplating doing it for some time. Right after the campfire, I formed a nonprofit and joined the ecosystem restoration communities. At the time, it was called Ecosystem Restoration Camps. I was invited by John Liu to be part of this council, and then ended up, after the fire, I said, we've got to create a camp for Paradise, after the campfire. And that's what we did. And we became the first ecosystem restoration camp in the United States. And that was my, connection to the ERC back then. And we've been staying connected ever since. And in the fire that I went through here, we started again and created a research and a demonstration site for post-fire recovery called the Treetop Eco Camp. And, I was thinking about doing these trainings, and I've been collecting a lot of information over the years, speaking with a lot of people, doing all this research and development. And I had just talked to my buddy Matt, who is actually a former student of mine. He'll come on a little later to talk about his experience, working with me and stuff. And we were talking about putting together some sort of a wildfire, video series training where we're interviewing experts and things like that. And about, I don't know, just a couple days, I swear, a couple days later, Ashley sends me a message from the ecosystem restoration communities, and apparently she had the same exact thought and said, I'm thinking about the next course, and I think wildfire is really the big subject that needs to go out there. There's nothing out there, really in the world that covers it from a ecosystem scale, perspective, as well as looking at all these other pieces of the puzzle. And so, yeah, that's when me and Ashley started to talk and became more and more excited and decided to do this training. So, next, I'd like to bring Ashley on to talk about, introduce herself and how we brought this forward.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. Hey everyone, my name's Ashley or Ash, and yeah, I've been working for the ecosystem restoration communities movement for nearly a decade now. I was involved right from the beginning when it was just an idea in John Lew's head. Uh, and for those who don't know who we are a global movement of ecosystem restoration, agroecology, rewilding, regenerative agriculture initiatives that are based all over the world. And we are a movement that supports one another to grow and develop our initiatives to make sure that we can restore as much of the Earth's ecosystems as possible, as many of the Earth's ecosystems as possible. And yeah, my specific role is in education and knowledge exchange, so helping the ERC leaders, we call them, like Matthew, people running projects on the ground who want to create trainings to reach people around them and kind of scale out the impact that can be had when one very knowledgeable person or set of people can share that knowledge with others and sort of seed the pop-up of all of these other restoration initiatives happening all over the world. And yeah, I just really I kept witnessing wildfires happening all over the place, and I know that it's possible to reduce the risk and restore land after a fire. And I really felt like there was something missing, you know? Uh, there are people who need to know this information so that we can kind of stem the tide of fires happening all over the place and start to sort of reverse the damage. So I was delighted that Matt was so keen to make this happen. And yeah, we're looking forward to explaining the training more to you in a bit.
Awesome. Thank you, Ashley. And yeah, I mean, it's just been a interesting thing, if you have been working with the earth in any kind of way, you start to see these synchronicities and these sort of like magical things that happen. And that's how I know that I'm headed towards the right thing. And that's what it really felt like putting together this training. And all these kind of stars aligned. We've got an incredible lineup of presenters and guest speakers for the course. And yeah, I'd like to share that with y'all. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick and get into it. So first, let me just share the website. Sorry, I thought I already had it up. There we go. Okay. So here's our website. It's in the ecosystem restoration communities.org, and we're going to be posting that, of course, everywhere where you'll see this video. And of course, we have another free webinar coming up next week. That's an important thing to think about. That's Monday, the 3rd of November, and it's 6 p.m. on Pacific time. And I will have to post the European time, but you can kind of figure that out. It's probably not, it's really late. Yes, I believe in the morning. It's early in the morning, in fact. But here in this, you'll see who is this training for? Um, it's really it can be for anyone, but primarily, we're looking at people who live in fire ecologies, landowners, community members, anybody can be affected by these fires. And there's different ways that you can be involved in the change to make it better. Land management organizations and practitioners, this is a training that can be brought to groups of people, and we're having a group discount as well in the course. So for more than 10 people, we are offering a group discount. It's going to be really important for fire survivors, communities that have been through wildfires. We have the biggest part of our course is on post-fire recovery, both the land and the human element of recovery. And yeah, we're going to teach you how to, reduce the risk of wildfire, respond to healing after a fire, and then how to regenerate your land and community, both pre and post fire. Okay. We really hope to have you learn this stuff before there's a disaster, right? Because that's really when you want to build your resilience. But unfortunately, so many people on this earth, and more frequently now than ever in places that we never would have expected to see fire, Maui, all these other parts. There's a fire right now, Kathy was telling me about in South Africa right now, and it's spring there. It's a really weird time to have a wildfire, but that is what has been happening exponentially over the last 20 years. And there's a reason for that. So we want to explain why that is. I'll be sort of your guide through this course. And, I'll be doing a lot of the teaching, obviously, but I am mostly trying to curate an incredible group of presenters. And I'm going to be bringing people back to center throughout the course, which is looking at this through a holistic ecosystem or biomimicry lens. We're going to be always bringing back specific information in the course back to this, holistic view and how it plays into that picture. And that's really important to me. Keeping it simple was really important to me. And also, just bringing information that's relevant to people and looking at it, not like trying to say this is how you do every single thing step by step, but why, when, and where to do this, to do things so that you can come up with your own how based on your own bioregion and specific situation. And that's a really important part here. Who's in our course? This is exciting. So we have John Liu, of course, coming in, the founder of the ERC. Brock Dolman, incredible wildlife biologist, permaculture educator, the beaver guy, that's like the beaver man, talking about all kinds of ecosystem function. Geoff Lawton, Lee Klinger, who's an incredible person doing fire mimicry work all over. His stuff is really amazing. Just wrote a book called Forge with Fire. That's a must read. He's going to be breaking down his work with fire mimicry. Raleigh Latham, that's part of the Water Stories crew, going to be bringing his perspective on water. We got soil experts like Keisha and Casey Ernst, wildfire mapping experts like Zeke Lunder, Alan Booker, kind of a whole systems design guy he's a engineer by trade and works with big system government connection, how to train like big corporations and government agencies on holistic design. We've got local tribal leaders here, local to me, that are going to be, bringing their knowledge, the traditional ecological knowledge, to this. Grades like Paul Wheaton, Permies.com, and so many more. Rebecca, who's actually on, I believe, here today. She is incredible all-star who's been helping post-fire communities all over the world, well, yeah, all over the world, but US mostly, and developing, an incredible program to help fire communities. So she's going to be big in the post-fire, um, recovery side of things, and we're developing a really awesome team for that because it's a very special and sensitive spot to talk about, which we all know too close. Natural building experts, soil experts like Matt Powers, OGs in the permaculture game like Penny Livingston Clark, Eric Olson, bringing that professional permaculture perspective, and other amazing people that we're still bringing in on this course. So there's so much I could say about each one of these people. They're all stars in their own rights. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. Like really, really, really cool crew, and I get to meet and talk to a lot of people that I've always wanted to have deep conversations about these subjects. So, um, I'm excited. I hope you're excited about that. Now, let's talk about the layout of the course. Excuse me. So here we go. So going through this, and I'm going to not be able to break it all down, but I want you to understand the flow of the course. So first of all, we want you to understand it's an online course. It's going to be 7 months of content spread over about 9 months. We're going to take a break in the summer, but it starts off right off the bat with understanding ecosystems. It's about 2 hours of content per week that we're going to be sending you. You'll have a whole week to watch the content. And then at the end of each week, on a Monday, we're going to be doing a Q&A. And we're going to do that in two time zones of the Earth so that people have an opportunity. And those Q&As will also have guest panelists that you will be able to ask direct questions to that are relevant to that part of the course. And that's really the interaction part. It's a two-way street here, and we're going to learn from each other as much as we are from all the people that have brought in to curate this course. Understanding fire and fire ecosystems, it was really important for me to put this in the beginning of the course so that we understand the system's function. What are the underlying systems function of ecosystems and ecosystem engineers? These elements in the forests in these ecosystems that have in a healthy ecosystem played a role from the beginning of time to keep a balance and what is missing and how do we mimic those elements. So that's very much how that part of the course lays out, breaking down the main frame, actual elements of earth, wind, water, soil, and fire, and obviously emphasis on the fire element. And then we go right into the largest part of the course and the most, really relevant piece for so many people, which is the restoring land and livelihoods after fire. We really bring in every angle to this from, the immediate needs, temporary food, shelter, housing, toxic runoff mitigation, erosion control, how to navigate the government and acquire resources, how to form community groups and then navigate like basically the long-term recovery that is part of it. It's, breaking it down to the first 6 months, 6 to 18 months, what to expect, and the long-term recovery that's part of it. And we've brought people that have had personal experience as well as working with many different communities in this way to bring all the best knowledge together for this course. Then we go into module 3, reducing wildfire risk. This is really a design centric piece of the course. It's permaculture design 101, basically, holistic design. What are the themes behind fire resiliency, water systems access, fire-wise structures, natural building, and alternative building, new building models that, are fire-wise for these kind of areas, how to create a management plan, how do we look at ways to create some kind of an income even from the work that needs to be done, and or resources for local communities. Um, Exciting piece there that I thought was really important. And then the mid-fire action. So, during a fire, right? Alert systems, communication systems, evacuation systems, whole systems response protocols is basically working with how do we train our governments and our communities to be better at this, because that is the critical part when things do go bad, how do we respond in a way that is, just better all around? And lastly, or no, not lastly yet, we're still in module five. So stewardship, now we're going into a long-term plan, right? Looking at how do we look at this long-term management of these spaces, whether it's the land or the social systems, right? How do we create capacity building for our local communities and for our lands? The last one, the most important piece that we couldn't leave out to this is the action, right? None of this matters if we can't get into action. So, module six is all about making a plan, getting connected from to local groups doing this work. So, we're trying to connect you with work that's near you. As I said before in this, it's we're not trying to tell you how to do something specific because everywhere on the earth has its own context, has its own applications to this information. So we can give you a lot, and we will be going into specific ecosystems and breaking those down from people that are from different parts of the world. But we want you to be connected to as something that's local as possible. So we're going to be creating alliances. We're going to be doing a design exercise where you get to work together to come up with a fire resilient design for your situation or teaming up together. And we'll be able to have a lot of Q&A at the end of this, a lot of feedback from the experts, from other group members, and then we're going to showcase a whole bunch of different projects around the world that you can learn from, do internships for, come on the ground and see, the demonstration sites that are being put together all over the world. So. Um, that's the layout. And of course, everybody's going to ask the cost of the course. So the important thing to know is that we have payment plans for the course. So we really tried hard to come up with a cost that was reasonable and affordable and honored everybody involved, and allows entry to everybody to get into the course. So we're offering payment plans per month. Right now, you can get the early bird discount. So that's a big 15% off the entire course. And we're going to be likely extending this as well. But, for our next webinar. But oh yeah, we already got it to the 30th of November. And we have tiers of the course as well for low, a mid tier, and we call it pay it forward tier, which then goes back into supporting the ability to offer these lower tier discounts, which is really important. I mentioned the group discount earlier, which is a 10% discount, and it offers for groups 10 people or more. So if you are part of a wildfire, group, or that you do kind of restoration work, whether you're tree companies or other ecology groups, things like that, you want to skill up, this would be a great opportunity to get this in your nonprofit, your government group, etc. So we want to offer that. And of course, we wanted to offer a discount, a wildfire survivor discount. So that's another 10% for wildfire survivors. So if you're a wildfire survivor and you get in on the early bird discount, you can have a 25% discount for the course, which is really good. Um, and you can see the prices here. Um, so we are trying to make this really accessible. 80 dollars a month. Okay, let's break this down. How many people out there go get fancy coffees, a couple times a week, right? How many people have a bunch of online accounts that, subscriptions that they don't even know what they are? Like this is not that much money for the amount of information that we're going to be bringing out here. If you are in a fire ecology, if you're somewhere that could burn, you feel that right now, or you've been through a fire, I am packing it in on this course. We've really put together a lot to make this happen for you guys. So I really encourage you to check out everything here on the website, and tell your friends about it. And we're going to be answering your questions as well. If you have questions about the course, either come to our next webinar, which is on the 3rd of November. Again, it's 6 o'clock on Pacific time. And you'll have to look up where that lies wherever you live on the earth. But it's going to be convenient for the Americas and some other places. Um, and you can also email us at hello@erc.earth. And I think we're posting a lot of this stuff here, of course, on when we post this out. Um, yeah, what else to say? Ashley, you wanna chime in a little bit at all here? Anything else you want to add to this? Okay. Yeah.
I think you did a good job there, Matt, of explaining how you put the training together and what the student journey will be like. And yeah, I agree that for the price, the quality of this product in terms of the caliber of the teachers and just how important this information is for people experiencing wildfires, but also planetarily, like just imagine if we could turn the tide on wildfire and really, really reduce the severity of them and the impacts that they have, what a difference that would make to all of us. Um, so I think now we're going to be welcoming Rebecca, who's one of the teachers on the training, to share a little bit about her story and what she'll be talking about as a presenter. Rebecca, are you there?
Hi, I'm here. Aloha, everyone. My name is Rebecca Uccellini. I have been in the wildfire recovery space for 9 years now. And before that, I've worked internationally in refugee crisis and stuff, which has been 18 years in total. And I'm currently going between Santa Cruz Mountains, Los Angeles wildfires, and Maui, mostly stationed on Maui. And a lot of the lens I look at everything through is kind of the human ecosystem, nervous system regulation, mutual aid systems, creating effective mutual aid for post-wildfire, but also how we set up our communities so that future disasters are not going to impact us so heavily. And I think we're really living in a time where disaster is going to affect everyone on the planet to some extent. And so I think this is a critical training. Even if you've never been through a wildfire yet, chances are you will know somebody who has or will. And I think anything we can do to prevent the devastation and to set up our communities so that they can heal more quickly is really important. So yeah, I've got a lot more to share with you all, but that's sort of an overview, and grateful to be here with you all.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I can't I can't understate how much of a awesome. I was gonna say, well, I'll just say a badass. Okay, this is mostly a adult audience here. Yeah, Rebecca is quite the badass. She is put together, I mean, some incredible information. Not only was she on the ground, like doing all this work and actually just helping all these people. I mean, she was telling me stories about how she's been, you know, appealing like these claims for folks in Maui, and getting thousands of applications pushed through, figured out how to do this. So she's not only doing it right and figuring out in real time, but then she's also capturing all that information and curating it, putting it in a form where she can share it out with other communities. And so she's been working really hard at this for many, many years. And I'm so honored to have you as part of the course, Rebecca, because your work has been paramount. It's people like you that make such a huge difference and are changing policy, and that's the other big part about all this is that this work and this knowledge, we can ripple it out and we can change policy. Of course, people like Rebecca is doing it on a very focused and specific way. But like we all, by having the conversation about these things, normalizing these conversations, it ripples out and creates massive change. And that's what we need to see all over the place. Because let me tell you, the systems that are set up right now to deal with these disasters aren't great. And that's saying it very nice. Um, you know, and so there's a better way, and we know about it, and we're creating it, and we only can do that together. And that's why I keep reiterating it's always a co-creation. So I've often always learned so much from my students in past courses, and become really, really great friends with my past students in courses. I actually have one here today. His name is Matt Fiddler, another Matt here, and he was my student in a permaculture design course that I put together after the fires. We actually met in Paradise after the fires. He was doing some filming and editing of a series that he was working on, and that's how we initially bumped into each other. And then when he found out I was doing a permaculture design course, he signed up for it, and we've been chatting ever since. And now we're collaborating on this. If you guys saw the video that was put out there about the training, that was Matt doing the editing, and yeah, awesome guy. He's a radio editor, producer for a bunch of programs here for the North State Public Radio in California. And Matt, I was going to bring you on. Yeah, you tell people, yeah, just kind of our story, and kind of your story, learning through me and other people.
Yeah, yeah, happy to. Yeah, as Matt said, I do radio and podcast production primarily, a little bit of video, doing more and more video these days. Um, but yeah, I met, Matthew when I came back to California. I'm a native Californian, but I came back here and it was the start of all these really disastrous fires, right? California's a fire ecology. We've always had fires, but things seem to be getting worse. And I was looking for a new project, and I said, "Oh wow, well this seems like a real calling." And we had a major fire in Santa Rosa, which is the first time I ever really saw a wildfire, take over a larger city, and then the Car Fire that devastated big parts of Redding, and then the Camp Fire happened, and devastated, and it's still the California's deadliest fire in Paradise, which is just 20 minutes from where I live. And it seemed like, okay, this is my next big project because I'm not understanding this. And I've been doing kind of environmental reporting and long form storytelling for years. And I was just completely confused about what was happening. And that's where I met Matthew Trumm. And really, him and many of his colleagues changed the trajectory of my career and my life and my outlook on um, how humans are this really important part of the ecosystem and have always been. We've just been in kind of denial of that since or a lot of us, not everyone, but a large part of mainstream society has been kind of denial that we're part of the ecosystem, especially since the Industrial Revolution, and how much that we've really uh, have this huge impact on the environment and our own ecosystems, largely beneficial, but more often than not, recently unbeneficial. And so, yeah, I took Matthew's permaculture course, and I produced this series called California Burning, which is still available. And a big part of what I learned, and am still learning, is that the phrase "an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure" is just so apt, right? We spend billions of dollars, maybe trillions of dollars, cleaning up after disasters and things like wildfires and flooding, and which are so related. I watched that happen right here, right? The wildfires happen, and then suddenly our rivers and our creeks aren't very good at absorbing water and cause high floods. And if we put a fraction, just like a small fraction of the amount of money we did into prevention and understanding how we can prepare for wildfires, because they do happen, we could save 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times that amount of money afterwards. And so, right, like, we're pay $1,000 to learn about wildfire resilience could potentially save you 10,000 in the near future. And that's why I'm just such a big believer in these, educational opportunities. And I think there could be a better person than Matthew Trumm and this amazing crew of people. Some of them are here, but people like John Liu, who's was a part of my wildfire resilience kind of series. But this is so practical and so encompassing. It's been amazing, all these people that Matthew have been able to put together. So yeah, I'm just a big believer in the product, and I just want as many people to learn this information, because we can't depend on the government and the insurance companies on doing the right project on the right thing necessarily, because they're very focused on winning elections and quarterly profits. But if we all do the right thing, we're going to save money in taxes. We're going to need less money on disaster relief. We're going to spend less money on our insurance when we have neighborhoods that are built better. When we have properties that don't need to be constantly getting bailouts for disasters. And I can go on, but I'll shut up for a while, because I know there's more people to talk. But I'm just extremely excited and yeah, about this project, and I hope as many people can sign up as possible who are really concerned about their properties and their future living in wildfire-prone areas. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Matt. Right on. Yeah, it's what you said there is so real. I mean, these systems, like why I get called to go to these disasters, why we have such great results, is because systems like permaculture design and other regenerative systems, they it's always the thing to do. But when a disaster happens, then people start to realize it. It's where it really kicks in. But we don't want to be doing this just in response to disasters. I know I don't. It's something that we need to embed into the daily culture of our communities. And resilience is something that has to be there well ahead of when we deal with these situations. And it's something that can improve your life every single day. All these systems we're going to talk about, like water harvesting systems, how to rehydrate your landscape, right? How to, basically design, the world around you. It's more efficient. We're talking about efficiency, like some practical stuff that saves you a ton of money, keeps you secure during the unsettling times, whether it's financial, upsets or weather events. So many things are happening all over the world. It really does apply to multitude of other disasters. However, we're focused specifically on wildfire, but as Matt mentioned, the flooding is like hand in hand with it. It's all these realities of how we valued money over ecosystem function, which is the highest value on Earth. And when we've missed the understanding of, like, here's all these elements that do all this work for us all the time, all these animals and trees and the fungi in the ground and the soil microorganisms and all these things working in this like beautiful rhythm and harmony. They're not loud, right? They're not telling us, to buy their product, they're just giving it for free every single day. And we need to understand that this is the foundation of all life on Earth. And if we don't understand that, we're gonna continue to have these issues. And so yeah, that's really the heart and soul of this course. And yeah, we're super excited to share it with the world. So um, it starts in February of 2026. Um, don't miss out. We got another webinar coming up where we can answer any questions that you have. Don't miss out on the early bird discount. 15% until November 30th. Don't forget, we have payment plans available for all levels of income accessibility. If you have the ability to pay it forward, it helps those lower tier, um, spots to be available. So wanted to put that out there. We do offer group discounts, 10 people or more, for 10% additionally, and we offer the wildfire survivor discount as well. And we're not gonna, you'll just have to show us something, but yeah, it's kind of broad with the wildfire survivor. And yeah, come and join us, and share. I know there's so many people also that are going to watch this that are also people that hold knowledge, that could add to this course. We're still building some pieces to the course, and so it's going to continue to evolve as we bring in more experts, do more interviews and things like that. So we will have some room there. So if you are somebody who can contribute to the course, please reach out to us as well. Going to say that email once again is hello@erc.earth. So that's the best way to get a hold of us. And we're very excited to bring this unique training to everyone. So I'm going to ask my team if I missed anything.
We're really excited, like you said, really foresee this being a highly impactful training for the world. So jump in and be a part of it. And yeah, we're always at the end of the inbox if you have any questions. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming, being here. And yeah, let's restore the air.